We know the health price that young people and society are paying for this reality. That's well documented. But what are you hearing among young people themselves in terms of what they're hungering for or wanting with respect to connection and community? And why are they finding it hard to find what they're seeking? And maybe I'm being presumptuous, maybe they're not. But what do you hear them hungering for? What are they, when they can express it, what do you hear them expressing?
Yeah, and I can definitely speak to like what I'm hearing from their voices. But then the second part of the question of like, and why? I do want to say that they're not necessarily naming all the reasons why. But I've got a few hunches that I'd like to throw out that may or may not stick. I think what I'm continuing to hear is looking for mentors, looking for guides in this, and then looking for groups of safe spaces with other male-bodied people where we can share this, or male identifying people that we can share this in a shame-free zone that we can bring down the performance and express, where we can try things on, where we can be wrong and we're not canceled. That within this space, in some sense, phones can go down, cameras can be turned off, and can I just be for a second? Instead of thinking about the next social media post that I want, especially in this culture, in the environment that Wesley or I in, and you may be having it as well, Mike, where you are of just this like, I've got to get ahead. I've got to do this next thing for my CV. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And I can't fail at any of these. So I can't have any little hindrance to get me forward, which sharing myself may actually do that. That's too much of a risk because cancel culture is real. And so I can't try that on. So I'm just going to go one route. So I'm hearing mentors, like people that I can look to and be led by, that I can trust myself with. Again, or even a phrase that I've been using and some people have been picking up in my communities is entrust myself to. Not just trust them, but like I can kind of just allow I'm going to let their voice really speak into my life. So I think that mentor role, but then also the community. And I think some of the difficulties that I'm seeing from my perspective, there's two particularly. Um, One, to go back to this mentor who got us to stand up and move across the room, she had written a book looking at a longitudinal study of faith formation in the US from the early 2000s into the like mid 2010s, 2012. Her name's Kendra Creasy Dean, and the book's called Almost Christian. And it was a sociological study done by Christian Smith, who's out of Notre Dame. And she was then taking this sociological data and looking at it from a theological lens and what could be going on here. And it's across all religions, people that are not religious as well, being able to get this large swath of people in this longitudinal way. And why, kind of one of our big questions is why are church numbers decreasing? Why are people leaving high school and never coming back into the church? And what she essentially came up with was the roughest answer for any of us to experience. And it was, oh, it's because they took exactly what we gave them. We spoon fed them a really watered down religion. We didn't talk about the tough stuff. So when things got tough, they said, oh, well, the church can't hold, or this religious institution can't take my tough questions. So I'm out. And I've been thinking about that since first read it and have been in conversation with her about it. That I wonder if that's also happening here. When I read that statistic that you read of this decreased amount, 2003 to 2020, right? 17 years. 17 years ago was a long time ago. It was a very different world. And as you mentioned at the beginning of this number has been decreasing, or like there's been a change since the 70s. So things have not been getting better. So I wonder if students are looking around, young adults are looking around and going, I'm just not seeing it anywhere. Are any men having really good, deep conversations with other men? Are there things happening more than just going and getting a beer? But like, what? I'm just not seeing the depth. And so I don't know if they have felt equipped because they're not seeing it around. And so I think they're looking for mentors, but it's difficult for them to find mentors that are going to go to that next level, that are not just going to be looking at the performance CV side, but are going to look at the human side.
Hmm.
How are you? What's going on with you? So that's, I think, one of the biggest things. Another thing that I think is needed, um, is, again, I talked about this, like, trying things on, but I think there needs to be more space to name failures, just to kind of wallow in failure and, like, yep, it happened. Because I think there's this expectation: if I didn't get it right, then I'm not good, then I'm bad. Not, I didn't get it right, so I didn't do it right. Try again. Like a math problem. Oh, I didn't get it right. Okay, let me just try it again. But it jumps automatically to this I'm bad, to this space of shame. And so trying to create some spaces where we can actually just come together and say, I've failed at this. Yep, I tried this, didn't work. And we can wallow in it, we can laugh with it, we can grieve with it, whatever it may need to be, but just having some spaces to do this. And there's actually a professor at Princeton University a few years ago that had actually dropped a CV of all of the things that didn't get included for all of the papers that didn't get put into academic journals, just a list of failures. And it was sent out because so often it is just the CVs of positive things. So to be able to counteract it and see how long that list was, how it was much longer than this professor's regular CV, just showed this other side of the coin of, like, this is what it means to live, is that you will fail at times. And that's okay, because that doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you failed at this, or you tried and you get to try again. And so I think these are some spaces of, like, how do we find mentors, and then how do we find some communities and spaces where we can display this other side of life? Because failure, I think, is just life.
Yeah. Mike or Wesley, anything you want to build off of on that?
Well, I think that, I agree with Skitch in that they are looking for answers. And, in my time as a young person, I probably would have been told to go figure it out. And these young people have always been given the information that they need in order to be successful, to move forward. And so I think in looking for mentors, they are looking for, I agree, mentors who can provide uh, more detail, more or deeper experiences, and not just the things that are surfacing. And I think that in many ways, when they don't get that, it frustrates them and causes them to move into that isolation because they don't feel like they're going to get what they need. On a college campus, particularly after the pandemic and the isolation of the pandemic, we found that they really wanted to be around one another, um, because they hadn't been allowed to be around one another for 2 years. And so when regularly scheduled student activities began to open up, we had tons and tons of students who showed up who may not necessarily have shown up in the past because there had been so many things to choose from. But coming out of a time when there was nothing to choose from, when those opportunities came back, we saw students really jump on those opportunities. Now, were they present 100% all the time? No. Were they looking for that right picture to post or looking for that video to post? Yes. But they were there. And they were showing us that they had a desire to really be around one another again and have the opportunity to have some physical connection with people again.